As you can see, Fade-In is a very straightforward program, intentionally designed with a minimal interface to help you focus on the task of writing. You could stop watching right now and happily get on with the process, but there are several advanced features hiding under the surface when you're ready for them. Let's take a look at a few of them now. We'll start with error checks. Unfortunately, Fade-In will not check your script for poor use of subtext, cliched irony, or tedious exposition. But it will look for unnecessary spaces and blank lines, along with issues with the way your characters and dialogue are formatted. If you're planning to submit your script to a studio or agency, you should certainly take advantage of this feature. Another handy review tool is the Dialogue Tuner. This isolates all dialogue attributed to a given character, perfect for reviewing consistency in personality and ensuring lines haven't been incorrectly labeled as a different character's dialogue. Out of the box, as it were, Fade-In is designed to deliver a script that meets industry standards for submission to professional studios. But once a production's been greenlit and moves to pre-production, the script needs to be more precisely referenced, and to that end, additional numbering schemes are introduced to help reference specific scenes and lines of dialogue. Let's start with good old page numbers. Select Page Numbering, and you'll be given a cryptic list of numbering modes. This only comes into play once you've locked your script. Let's say your script's entered pre-production, and shoots have been scheduled based on the page numbers. But suddenly, you realize that you need to add an additional closer to Scene 3. If you do, you'll screw up the page numbering that everyone is working to. Instead, choose Lock Page Numbers. Now, if you add an additional page to the script, it'll be denoted as a new unique page number like 1A. The formatting depends on the scheme you chose in the page numbering submenu. You can add and lock scene numbers in the same way, and inserted scenes will similarly be renumbered. For very precise projects like animation where things need to be referenced right down to the individual lines of dialogue, go ahead and add dialogue numbers, and they're subject to the same locking procedures. Of course, you're not only going to add content, you'll also want to change lines that you've already written. The film industry has developed very specific standards to keep everyone synced and in agreement on what the latest version of the script is. For starters, each time the script goes through a set of revisions, the color of the paper it's printed on changes. Now, this can vary from studio to studio, but a common sequence is white to blue to pink to yellow to green to goldenrod to buff to salmon, cherry to tan, and then back to white again. In Fade-In, choose Revisions and then select the new color you want the revisions set to. Notice you can edit the order and the names of these revisions here if your production uses a different scheme. Click OK and nothing immediately happens, but if you now start to revise your dialogue, two things occur. The page on which you're making alterations changes to the revision color you chose, and an asterisk appears to the right of the dialogue change to indicate that there's been a modification to this line since the original script version. Notice that adjacent pages remain their former color since their contents are still consistent with the previous version of the script. Another nice advanced feature is scene versions. Let's say you want to try a different direction for a scene, but you're not ready to give up the current version. With your cursor parked somewhere in the scene, select Scene Versions and choose Add Current. This effectively creates a snapshot of the current scene. You can now alter the scene to your heart's content, and anytime you want to try another alternate direction, go back to the Scene Versions menu and click Add Current again. You can now switch between versions by simply selecting one and choosing Revert To. Alternates provide the same functionality at a more granular level. Let's say the most pivotal line in your movie needs refining. Set your cursor there and choose Add Alt for Element. Do this as many times as you like, and then switch between them either with the previous and next menu commands, or better, by clicking the arrows next to the line right in the document. You can quickly add or remove alternates using the plus and minus buttons here as well. There are a number of other little gems hidden in Fade In: text focus, bookmarks, notes, along with standard word processing tools like Find and Replace. But before we wrap, let's take a look at a couple more features. First up, reports. And being a creative, the word reports probably doesn't fire any rockets for you, but hang with us for just a moment. Whether you're working with a large production team or just developing a script on your own, Fade In's built-in reports will give you a great bird's-eye view of your screenplay. The scene report will help you to see if one of your scenes is taking too long. The cast report will show you who gets the most lines and dialogue scene time. The location report will show you how many sets you need to build or scout for. And for the overly analytical, the statistics report will give you all kinds of granular feedback to fret over. There are several other reports to choose from, but you get the idea. Finally, let's quickly touch on import and export. Until Fade In and a couple of other upstarts came onto the scene, an application called Final Draft was pretty much the only player in the game, and as such, it's kind of an industry standard. Fortunately, if you're working with Final Drafters, Fade In supports both import and export in the Final Draft format. It also supports a bunch of other alternate formats like Celtics and Fountain. One really nice feature is the PDF import. That'll parse a PDF of a formatted script and convert it to a Fade In document. It's actually pretty reliable, although it won't work with image-scanned PDFs. You'll need optical character recognition software for that. But the PDF feature is great for downloading scripts from commercial films to study and review. The reports work well in that context as a learning tool. You can get a sense of how much screen time was given to different characters, how many locations were used, so on. And with that, we're done. You now know enough to not only start typing, but to also take advantage of Fade In's elegant set of advanced tools. The only thing now between you and your Academy Award is a healthy dose of caffeine and scheduling daily goals for your writing time. Oh, and Fade In can even help you with that last bit. Open the session stats window and you can see how many words you've written each day and set a timer so you know when to get back to your day job.